people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. See, we rap for dollars, but ignore the mass of scholars. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness. See, college tuition just raise up, while students just blaze up. You know it's right, but you choose to ignore me. Just look at the history. History is just another his story. It gets deeper than rap, looking deep in the facts. See, it's something like of the word it pertains to. So if you saying you Jewish, then you really ain't you. They covered all of the face and even an angel. You see, I'm racist and I'm anti-Semitic. We show love to everyone else, but we need to do it for something called black, cause it stands for ignorance. We need to observe, and they give us in the root of the word. Just cause you move to the birds doesn't mean it's all good. The rest of us, we still live in the hood. We might as well rebel together, if you hell together. Blacks and freakers, we all go to jail together. It's better now than never. Get living for pleasure. Stand together cause we live in the hood. So we rebel against the system, we rebel against religion, we rebel against the government, against the president, against society. Because they lie to me, and then they lie to you. And plus we living in hell. Minorities, which mean a minor race. Like we less than important, but that really ain't the case. They try to set us at base, but we really increase. Like the sand of the sea, but we keeping it peaceful for Lincoln assassination. They gave us emancipation, but we live in the ghetto, so I'm seeing segregation. The system ain't nothing else but a joke, and it's a damn shame even a white man broke.
Shalom, brothers and sisters out there. As you know, it's Apostle Itazayah and Apostle Imnawaalah, and today is a quick video about a question that was posed to us by a woman named Basola Bafemi, and she viewed our video where we was talking about women pastors in the churches, and she agrees with us, but she would like to know, like, what's the difference between a pastor and a prophetess. It says, she wrote, "Thank you so much. I agree, but can you explain Judges 4 and 4, the board of prophetess, and also Acts 2:1-17, and I will pour out my spirit on all flesh, and your sons and daughters shall prophesy." Alright, now, a woman can prophesy, of course, and because remember, women are supposed to teach other women and children, and they can also do teamwork with their husband, like Squilla and Aquila. But as in being over a congregation, having that responsibility, no, a woman is not supposed to. But prophetess, they have certain limitations. Number one, they did not go out to the wilderness and teach. People came to them. Prophetess, they were like, they weren't like sitting around writing like a lot of different like large scriptures and going forth on those scriptures. Those were made for the prophets. Now I'm gonna go to Exodus 15:20. So this is Exodus, the 15th chapter, and the 20th verse.
Okay, Exodus 15:20. And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took the timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances.
So right here, she was a prophetess, right here. And the thing is, her job was not to go around and prophesy, because she already had the priesthood was already set up and Moses was there. She was there as a symbol. So her job was to show how a righteous woman is supposed to act. Now, if you read along in Judges, she messes up to the point where she gets cursed with leprosy. Yeah, to let you know that that's what happens when you mess up like that. But there were always prophetess around, and many times. Let's go to Judges 4 and 4, so I can explain that. But they have rules and limitations. Now, these prophetess, female prophets, they were not over a congregation or a group. Alright, people went to them for advice. They were like what people would have like in like wise women, something like that. Judges 4 and 4. Yes, and I prove to you that this is going to prove to you that prophetess did not go around and like teach people. People came to them. But prophets were able to do that. If you ever hear about prophets like Samuel, Samuel went to city to get things straight and correct them. Jeremiah went to city to get things straight. John the Baptist went all around the wilderness and city to straighten people out. That was a prophet's job. This was a prophet's job. Judges 4 and 4.
Judges 4 and 4. And Deborah.
Read verse 3 to see what happened.
Judges 4 and 3. And the children of Israel cry unto the Lord.
So what happened is Israel did evil again. And we cried to the Lord. We're very hard-headed people. Keep going.
For he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel.
Keep going.
And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapida, the judge, she judged Israel at that time.
She judged Israel at that time. Keep going.
And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment.
So they went up to her for judgment. That's how it was supposed to be. Now, when she was a judge, it wasn't like she was like Gideon. Gideon went around from here and there to judge the people. She stayed in one place, and they came to her. That was her job. And remember, anytime they name most of these prophetess, they make sure they name their husbands too, because usually when a prophetess would like move from place to place, they will usually take their husbands with them, and we'll prove that in Acts. So we're gonna go to Acts 18. 1 and 2 to show you about that how a woman can do teamwork, and if they teach a person singly. Let's say if a person wants to know the knowledge of the Bible and a woman wants to teach him, and she has a husband must be there also, and they can actually use that as teamwork. But her teaching alone and the congregation, having a lot of people under her, no, that's not supposed to be like that. So Acts 18th chapter. 18 and 1.
Acts, chapter 18, Acts. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome.
Yeah, so all the Jews, see, at this time, when it says that departed all the Jews that came from Rome, there was no distinguish between the Jews that believed in Christ and the ones that didn't. The Romans just saw a Jew as a Jew. Similar to like when the so-called Caucasians here see a black man, they're not going to differentiate between like a black Muslim or a black Christian. They're just going to say a black man did. That's how they do it. Same thing here. So we're going to go to, now that we know who Aquila and Priscilla is, we're going to go to verse 24.
Verse 24, 18 and 24 in Acts. And a certain Jew named Apollos, born at Alexandria, an eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus. This man was instructed in the way of Yahweh, and being fervent in the spirit, he spake and taught diligently the things of the Lord.
All right.
Knowingly only the baptism of John.
So he understood the baptism of John, so he was teaching the words of God. But he still had a couple of things that was like he was void to. He didn't know about what happened with Christ's resurrection and things like that. So he needed to be taught a little bit more. Let's see what happens. Who's going to teach him? Keep going.
And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them and expounded unto him the way of the Most High more perfectly.
All right, so Priscilla and Aquila, so you can actually do that husband and wife teamwork. So right there, that's allowed. So a woman that she wants to teach people, make sure her husband is also, or a male family member is there available. Because, you know, not just for protection, but you also have to also remember that sometimes women can go off of their emotions a little too much sometimes. But you see like a lot of these Jehovah's Witness women and things like that, all these women that's teaching in the street, that's not how it's supposed to be. That's what the man's job is. All right, and we're gonna go and get that Joel. Two. Well, 2 and 28. All right, and Imnawaalah, should we get that? Because now we're going to go into the rules of a woman who do prophesy. All right.
Joel 2 and 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh.
All right, upon all flesh. Keep going.
And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
So it says they're going to prophesy. They're not going to open no big church with hundreds of people and collect money and all that. That's not what it's talking about. They're going to do like what it says, how to teach someone the correct way, or people going to come to them. Keep going.
Your old men shall dream dreams. Your young men shall see visions.
And your young men shall see visions. Keep going.
And also upon thy servants and upon thy handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit.
All right, he's going to pour out his spirit. So right now, it did say that women shall prophesy, but they have to follow the rules. People have to come to them for advice. They're not supposed to be over a congregation. And if they want to teach somebody, they can teach either the younger woman, or they have to teach someone else with their husband or older brother. There's always a law. The Most High says do everything in decency and in order. So if you have a wife and she's very intelligent with the scriptures, and you're very intelligent also with the scriptures, and you want to teach somebody, your wife wants to teach them, make sure you're there, just so everything can be correct, and y'all teach them one-on-one, just like Aquila and Priscilla. It's going to be 1 Corinthians, because there's even something else that these pastors do wrong. If you look at the majority of these pastors that I showed a picture of earlier, they have one thing about them that you see many of these pastors in these churches, these female pastors I'm talking about. How come they're showing their hair while they're teaching? It's bad enough they have congregations of 600 people, but now it's like now it's a beauty contest now. They're showing how good their hair is and things like that. Yeah. So now we're gonna go to 1 Corinthians. Now, because now I'm going to show you. No, this is not. Now we're going to go into like the ordinance there. Now, we're going to go to 1 Corinthians 11. And we're going to start at verse 1 to let you know these pastors, these female pastors, are even off. So,
okay. 1 Corinthians 11.
Right.
Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ.
So he says, be followers of him as he is of Christ. So this is Paul. Keep going.
Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you.
So another thing, he said, keep the order. In Corinth, there was a lot of chaos going on. You got whoremongers going there. You had all type of things going on in Corinth. You had women trying to be ministers. That's why he said he doesn't even want women to teach. Just hold this and I'm going to just bring that scripture up again. 1 Corinthians 14:34. Let your woman keep silent in the churches. for it is not permitted for them to speak. So they're not supposed to be doing their prophesying when they or teaching somebody like that during the time of church service. But they are commanded to be under obedience as saith the law. So now, preaching and prophesying are two separate things. Yeah, number one, you're preaching out the Bible, you're telling about the good word. You're prophesying, you're having a vision of the night about something that's going to happen in the future. And the thing is, you're not supposed to, and some of the things that, when you say these prophecies, is not for everybody. It's not for the whole church. Even if you look at the writings of Paul, the writings of Paul was written to the bishops. That's why some of Paul's writings, it gets really, really confusing for people who aren't learned. You have certain Christians that think that they can eat pork. Just because in one of his writings, he says that the Most High made all things good. So now that's why you have to understand what Paul is really talking about. You have certain people that don't circumcise their children because in Paul's writing he says circumcision is nothing. And if they read the next verse, they'll find out what he's talking about. So they stumble at something real small. But now we're going to go back to when we prophesying. Read 1 Corinthians 11 and 2 again.
Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you.
So keep the orders like he delivered them. Keep going.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the Christ is the Most High.
Right, keep going.
Every man prophesying, praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head.
So in other words, anytime you say your prayers at night, you have to take your stocking cap off and all that. Or anytime you're prophesying or teaching someone, you can't have a cap on if you're a man. Now, let's see what it says about a woman, though. Keep going.
Verse 5. For every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head.
Okay, so these women in the churches, these pastors, these female pastors that call themselves prophetess, why are they always showing their hair uncovered? If you look at them, like when you looked at these female pastors, they're not covering their head. And to tell you the truth, one of the first female pastors, that whole female pastoral office didn't start until the late 19th century, 20th century, in the 90s. And it was under the feminist movement, pushed by a lesbian named Gloria Steinem. Hey, some of the first female pastors were lesbians. People don't know that. Look what Gloria Steinem did. And the ones that she was pushing it the most to do it was a black woman. That's why you have a lot of black female pastors out there. Yeah. Gloria Steinem. She was the one, she was under that movement, the feminist movement. She was the main one that was bothering a lot of church politics and things like that and trying to push for a female's role in office in the church. And this was in the 90s, the 1900s, late 1900s. Like during the Feminist Act, all right? Gloria Steinem. So in the 1800s, no female pastors. All for thousands of years, no female pastors until that lesbian movement came. And they're not even doing it right. They have to have their head covered. All right? Read verse 5 again.
But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonors her head.
Yeah, you dishonors her head. Exactly. Keep going.
For that is even all one as if she were shaven.
Yeah, so in other words, it's like you're having a bald head. That's the thing. Like you're shaming yourself by doing that. So that's why Christ said you have to keep the orders. All right. So understand that a pastor's role is to be amongst a congregation. Women are not supposed to be owners of a congregation. Can they teach? Yes. They teach people, number one, with the male figure have to be next to them, and it has to be one-on-one. That's how they can teach this person. And if they want to teach someone alone, this is who they can teach alone. Let's go to Titus 2 and 3. So you can understand how the woman who wants to be teachers can teach a certain group alone, and it's this group right here. So Titus, the 2nd chapter, and you can start at verse 3. Titus. All right, I'm going to read it. It's Titus, and I'm going to read it verse 2. And it says this, that the aged man, verse 3, that the aged woman likewise, number one, you have to be aged to teach, aged in spirit, meaning know the scriptures, that they be in behavior as becoming holiness. You have to be holy, not false accusers, not giving too much wine, teachers of good things. So you have to teach good things, not giving too much wine. And sometimes when it's talking about wine, it's sometimes talking about all these doctrines that's around. Because you have some of these pastors are into, like even something like cosmology, the stuff dealing with makeup and everything and all that. That's a doctrine also, about changing your appearance and all that. Even alcoholic females. Yeah. And it says that they may teach the young woman to be sober, to love their children, to love their husband, to love their children. So in other words, this is what the woman alone can teach. The alone woman can only teach younger women. If she has to teach someone else singly, like a man or someone else in the street, a male figure have to be there, like her husband, older brother or brother in the truth have to be there. And if somebody wants to learn, if she was a prophetess, right, a true prophetess, like in the past, and she's telling like visions and things like that, people have to come to her. She don't go around and be over a congregation, right? So, like I said, there is no woman pastors. Can a woman teach? Yes, there's rules. And she must always have her hair covered if she's teaching younger women or teaching somebody one-on-one. But having the responsibility of being over a whole entire congregation is only strictly for the men. Alright? Woman teaching and woman being over congregations did not start until in the 1900s. In the late 1900s, under Gloria Steinem, under the feminist lesbian movement. Yes, that's why you see a lot of women pastors. They're a little masculine. I've seen some women pastors. These women pastors, there's some masculinity in it, and it's all because of that lesbian movement. I'm not saying all women pastors are lesbians, but I'm just saying they got that mission. Because even if you know about women in the 1800s, when they were going to church and things like that, they knew that they wasn't going to be over no congregation, and they were okay with it because that's order. But now, ever since they brought in all these new traditions that a woman can now be a pastor and this and that, now they want to go against the Most High's order. The Most High says keep the ordinances. Right? So I just wanted to really on a quick note answer that question to the woman Basola. So as you know, yes, a woman can be a prophetess, but there are rules and regulations. Yes, a woman can be a teacher, but there are rules. She cannot be over a congregation. No, that's not happening. She can teach younger women and a person one-on-one if her husband is here. So, and if she's a prophetess, people have to go to her. So, but as a woman being over a whole congregation, no, they're not. For a more better understanding of us teaching more about a woman over the congregation, we did a video known as Can Women Be Pastors? Alright? Just watch that video so you can have a more understanding why I'm bringing out about, to let you know the difference between a pastor and a prophetess. Alright? So I hope you understand that. And with that, you say, oh, yes. Yeah, one of our brothers, he has, something he wants to bring out. What is that at?
Yeah, it's 1 Timothy.
Okay. 1 Timothy's
2:11.
Right. Yeah. So we covered this in our other video, but it's good to read this again. This says 1 Timothy 2:11. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjections, but I suffer not a woman to teach. So when it says teach here, it means over a congregation. They can teach younger women, and when a man is involved, one person one-on-one, but not in the churches over a congregation. It says, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over a man, but to be silent. Yes, exactly. That's how it is in the congregations. The women have to stay silent. They can teach younger women, and if their husband's around, they can teach somebody one-on-one, just like Priscilla and Aquila did Apollos. All right. So, like, more better understanding of about us when we go on showing the scriptures, concrete proof that women cannot be pastors. You can just watch the video. Can women be pastors? It's just to answer a question, give you a difference between a female pastor and a prophetess. A woman can be a prophetess, and she can teach younger women and somebody one-on-one when her husband's around. But as in being a pastor over a church, no, she cannot do that. Being a deaconess or bishopess, no, she cannot do that. All right? There's rules and regulations, and she always have to have her head covered. All right?